Morning. It's January the 9th, and I just wanted to do a little video on how you can get free calcium for your garden and your vegetable plants. If you grow tomatoes and peppers and cucumbers, a lot of times I've had in the past, my tomatoes and my peppers form spots on the bottom of them, and it looks like they start to rot. That's called blossom end rot. And there are a lot of numbers of products out on the market you can put in your soil to help boost the calcium. And eggshells are perfect for calcium in your compost pile or in your garden planter beds or wherever you're going to plant your vegetable plants. So what we do is we'll save our eggshells. When we eat eggs, I take the shells and I rinse them out, and then I lay them out on a cookie sheet to dry in our utility room where it's nice and warm. I try to rinse out all the yellow, but sometimes you can't get it all out. You don't want salmonella in your garden, so do the best you can with it. And they say through the research that I've done, a whole eggshell, just throwing it in the garden like that, can take up to 5 years to break down. Whether it's in your garden, it may end up breaking down a little faster in a compost pile because your compost pile is going to get hotter than just throwing them on top of the garden. And if you'll take these eggshells and you just crunch them up like that, and you got pieces like this, I have thrown them in the planter boxes just like that before. And they say when you just crunch them up like that, just like that, and throw them in your compost pile or your planter box, that it could take about a year to maybe 2 years to decompose them down to get the usable calcium out of it. It will depend on where you're at and what you're putting it in versus the gardens just throwing it on top of the soil or putting it in a compost pile. But the quickest way to get the calcium to your plants is using a blender. This here's a blender that was our friend had a yard sale. You can pick them up for a couple of dollars at a yard sale. It didn't sell, so he gave us the blender for free. So I have no money in it, and I use this for my eggshells and things that I want to grind up for the garden. So I just take after we, a little bit of yellow there. Let's get that out there. We'll get the yellow out of there because that must have been one I missed. Don't mind the dishes in the sink. I'll get the housekeeper to get those done as soon as he's making an eggshell video. So you take that eggshell just like that. I break them up real good. I'll put them in the blender. I've already blended a few of them up. I don't want to turn the blender on because it's really loud on the video. And then we'll take this powder, and if you do it like this, you don't want to blend it and then just take the lid off because that eggshell powder dust is going to go everywhere. So what I do is I just let it set for about 15-20 minutes. You can take the lid off your blender. There's not a big old cloud of dust like you're sanding drywall. And then we'll just pour that out there. You can see the dust right there. But now you have a fine calcium powder. You can see how dusty that is. I don't know if it's picking it up on. But that's really nice. It's a lot finer than that right there. And what I'll do is I'll go out here before I plant, and I'll sprinkle this all over the ground where I'm going to plant my peppers, plant my tomatoes, plant my cucumbers. Anything you're going to plant, do some research on it and see what kind of nutrients it takes. if it needs a lot of calcium, this will help out, and it's free. You don't have to buy a bunch of supplements for your garden. But I'll put this in, sprinkle it all over the ground. I mainly do it around my peppers and my tomatoes. And then as the year goes on, we've got, let's see, it's the first week in January. I'll go ahead and do this. I'll get these ground up today and sprinkle this all over the ground where my peppers and my tomatoes are going to grow. And then as the year goes on, before we're ready to plant, we'll have more eggs. I'll dry them out, make my powder. And then when I plant the plant, I'll throw a little bit in there with the plants too. So just a little video on how you can save you some money and help your plants out. If you're getting blossom end rot on your plants, use some eggshells. If you're eating them anyway, it's free and it really does help. Thanks for watching.